Welcome to my channel.
Can hear.
Image! I am not, why?
Yeah, I see him eat all the time.
He's like,
what am I talking about?
All the time!
Dondero.
I'm a hot mess. Okay. This is a test of friendship.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Just let it slide in.
Oh my god. Oh, what? What happened? What happened? What happened?
Is that an outdoor kitchen?
That is an outdoor kitchen.
Hello.
Hi, Chef. Why did they give me a camera and a microphone?
Too
Yeah, because they don't know your name is at Nurmamos.
Exposing the trauma. It's like a fan dance. Just like peeking one little trauma at a time.
Roogs. How much? I didn't want to keep my snake to myself. I wanted to share. And of course, a Roogs wins when the lights
Me
go
and
off.
Shep could right now on the stream, and it's still less awkward than that.
Go Roogs!
So in conclusion, that's
Am I the only one turned on by all this?
I'm Roogs. Welcome to my channel.
Can hear.
Image! I am not, why?
Yeah, I see him eat all the time.
He's like,
what am I talking about?
All the time!
Dondero.
I'm a hot mess. Okay. This is a test of friendship.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Just let it slide in.
Oh my
What?
god. Oh, what? What happened? What happened? What happened?
Is that an outdoor kitchen?
That is an outdoor kitchen.
Hello.
Hi, Chef. Why did they give me a camera and a microphone?
Too
Yeah, because they don't know your name is at Nurmamos.
Exposing the trauma. It's like a fan dance. Just like peeking one little trauma at a time.
Roogs. How much? I didn't want to keep my snake to myself. I wanted to share. And of course, a Roogs wins when the lights
Me
go
and
off.
Shep could right now on the stream, and it's still less awkward than that.
Go Roogs!
So in conclusion, that's
Am I the only one turned on by all this?
Hold on. course it's not gonna work. Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm gonna have to put, like, I was uploading some of my in the middles to YouTube, and I realized I don't have the titles of them on there, so I had no idea what I was talking about that day. So here we are. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I know. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm gonna have full transparency. Here I am, and let me make sure. Okay, my mic's working. Pep doesn't like to tell me when my mic's not working. This one's gonna be a little rough for me. So we're gonna. I'm just gonna dive right in. So as we all know, I have, and as the title said, truth, lies, and healing. So this is it. It is diving into sort of what I am working on right now. And it's not gonna go where you think it does. So as a lot of you know, I have been doing a lot of my inner young adult work. Honestly, I thought that my inner young adult, I thought that this was going to be a cinch. You know, I really did. I thought that once I got through the hard stuff of gaining the trust of my inner child and healing those wounds and the emotional things, the emotional neglect and all of that, you know, I thought, okay, I thought nothing could be worse than that. And that is where I was wrong. That is where I was fucking wrong. So I have been doing a lot of my self-reflection and inner teen work. And on Friday, as some of you know, with my some of my impromptu streams, my inner teen, I decided, hey, you know, okay, you know, I opened the door, like I said, and I was like, I opened the door and said, hey, whenever you're ready to talk, we'll talk. And, you know, I'm here to listen. Well, she came out in full force, and all of those emotions just flooded every bit of my being, everything. It was basically like opening up Pandora's box. And I opened up this door, and here it was, and it filled every sense of my being. So this entire weekend, even though I was streaming, I have had this, my entire chest cavity has felt, except they all, it's all been something. And then you have to go open the boxes. It's felt like I have been this lead in my chest, and it hasn't been numb. I haven't been disassociated, so that's good. Because my first reaction usually is to disassociate. It is like when I feel at that massive amount of hurt and pain, I disassociate. I literally, the wall goes up and I go numb. So the fact that I was feeling this pain, the fact that I was feeling all of this hurt and pain, you would think that was a bad thing. You would think that was something that I would rail against and that I would see as a bad thing. But it wasn't. It was painful. It was incredibly painful. Like, physically painful. It was so painful emotionally that it physically painful. And I rode that storm out, and I was like, okay, but like, you know, you still feel really beat up after that. Well, today I was sitting very, very, my body was telling me my mental capacity was, I was about to go down that path again. Because what happens is that when you become very in tune with, you start becoming very aware of your mental state, your emotional state, and you start noticing the physical reactions. And today, I couldn't stop shaking. I couldn't catch my breath. I was like, I literally, and I don't do this. I don't do this. I literally was like, I had my arms crossed and I was just rocking. I don't do that. So I knew that I was not okay. I knew that I wasn't okay. I didn't know why I wasn't okay. But had literally it's always around lunchtime, around 1 o'clock. I tried very hard to just try to, like, you know, use my skills and use those things, and I wasn't there. I couldn't do it. I just wasn't there. And so I just melted down. I melted down. And it hurt. And I kept saying, I just don't want to hurt like this anymore, which is what I said the last time. And I kept saying it was hard. And I actually, I had C-Rigs on the phone because he was on, like, I was like, I had him on the phone, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to heal anymore. I said, because the last time I felt these feelings was back when I was a young adult, and it almost killed me. I was leveled. I literally got to this place. It was so much pain and so much hurt and so much emptiness that it almost killed me. And I got to and I had it almost killed me to the point of my brain said no more. And I blacked, it literally wiped out that entire period of my life. And here I am just going back to it. And what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And he reminded me that I can do hard things, and I am not in the same place that I was. And I kept sobbing, and I started talking to myself, and I kept saying, I have to learn how to love the dandelions. I have to learn how to love the dandelions. And he didn't understand what that was. And I was like, I have to learn how to love these emotions. I have to learn to accept that these are emotions. And that I said, and I am processing. I have to learn that I am processing, and it is what I have to do. I have to go and I have to feel this, and it's painful, and it's just probably one of the scariest, hardest things that I've done mentally and emotionally since it happened. But this is what I've got to do to heal. And I want to heal. I want to get better. I want to be stronger. I want to have a life that is full and happy. But to get there, I have to process the pain. And I have to accept the hurt. And I have to acknowledge and accept that this is coming from a wounds in a place that was so bad that I wouldn't allow myself to process. And I talked myself out of it, and I talked myself down, and then I got to this place where it leveled out. The storm ran out of rain. So I was like, okay. And so, okay, all right, I got this. Okay. I didn't say I was good. I was like, I got this. Okay. I am not turbulent right now. I am good. I am at least stable. And then I started writing. And I started writing to my young adult, because that's what they do. You know, like they, you know, I mean, for me, it helps. It helps to talk to them, like talk to my inner young adult, like it is somebody separate. My brain works like that. I like to imagine inanimate objects or abstract ideas as something physical. It just neurodivergent is fine. And I started writing, and I came to some realizations that really shocked me. And it was funny that John was talking about the story arc and character and being a main character and all of that, because I realized that I was not the villain of my story. Because I told my therapist this, I was so terrified of this section of my healing journey, because I had done such terrible things. I was awful. I was a terrible human being. I lied. I manipulated. I was deceitful. I was this. I was blah, 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 blah. And I remember very distinctly going, so when did that change for you? Because your inner child, the wounds that you're dealing with your inner child, and the wounds that you're dealing with now, like your people pleasing and all this stuff, this middle section doesn't seem to fit. I was like, I did this and I did that and I reacted to this and it was my trauma and all of this. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, folks, I realized when I was doing my journaling today that I rewrote my own history. I rewrote my own history. I made myself the villain. I was not the villain. If I go back and I look at that time in my life, there was not an instance. I mean, I did all the stupid shit that you do when you're 20. I did all that stuff. I do that. I did stupid shit. Everybody does stupid shit in their 20s. I was not the villain in my story. I was the victim. And I was used and abused and assaulted and abandoned. Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things. I was not the villain. And what had happened is that I was with people. I surrounded myself with people in my life who were amazing gaslighters. And they were so narcissistic and they were so good at it that I was getting physically abused. And I was the crazy one. He had convinced all of our friends, because we had a lot of mutual friends, because that's what abusers do. They isolate you so that you're only friends with them and their friends. And I was the crazy one. I was the crazy one. I was the broken one. I was the liar. I was it was me. Except that's not. There was one time I had told him I didn't want to go home with him, that I would catch a ride with another friend. And he lost his temper so badly. It was the week before Christmas break at college, that he threw my Christmas ornaments, and a lot of them were antiques, and a lot of them were like my grandmother made them, and she had passed already. And he threw them up against the wall in the dorm room hallway. So the dorm is the day before like a break, so nobody was really in there. But there was a couple of our mutual friends that stayed in a couple dorm rooms down. And he slammed me up against the wall, and he was yelling at me, and he was in my face, and there was broken glass everywhere, and I was crying, and there was no way that they couldn't hear. And nobody came. Nobody came to see if I was okay. Because it was just me causing drama. I was never good enough. And then after him, I was used, and guys came into my life, and I convinced myself after so many years. I convinced myself after so many years that I was just a whore, like I was a whore. But then I'm really over here looking back. I never once not felt something for the guys that I slept with in college. I wasn't a whore. I was doing the evangelical thing and looking for love, thinking it was love, or at least at the very least affection. I was so desperate. And then I was engaged again, and it was very much, I was never good enough. Never. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't the right race. I didn't come from enough money. I didn't do any of this. I wasn't talented enough. I wasn't ever enough. And nobody, him and his family, never let me forget that. And he was also very insecure. I was too flirty. I was too much. I was always wrong. I was never right. I was stupid. My ideas, my thing, and never right. And so I left college. My parents, like that whole thing. I didn't speak to them for a long time. I was a disappointment. I was a disappointment. They literally told me that. I was a disappointment. I was a disappointment because I made a choice for myself. Because I didn't want to follow. I was a disappointment. And so it got to the point where I was hurting so badly, and I was in so much pain, and I was so alone, because I learned as a little kid, I learned that I needed to smile and be happy, and I learned as a young adult that I can't reach out anyway because nobody's gonna come or believe me anyway. No one's gonna come help, or no one's gonna check on me, because no one's gonna believe that I am hurting or I'm in a bad place, because I don't deserve that. So, and I was writing today, I was journaling, I was talking to my inner young adult, and I realized all she ever wanted was to have somebody believe her. And Pep and I talked about it last night when we were gaming about, she just wanted somebody to believe. She just wanted somebody to acknowledge that she was telling the truth. Nobody checked on me. And all I wanted was somebody to believe I was not okay and that I was not safe. I just wanted somebody to believe, just to trust that I was telling the truth. that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't dramatic. I was having, and now I'm looking back on that part of my life now, and I wasn't dramatic. I was having a very normal reaction to covert narcissism. I was having a normal reaction to covert narcissism and abuse. So I got into that dark place where I could not handle the loneliness and the pain and the hurt anymore. And I got to that place. I was really close. But I did. I stopped myself. And here I obviously. And I always wondered what happened. I always wondered what happened. I don't remember a lot after that. I remember between that period and me going on the road, I don't remember. And I remember going on the road and just basically me going, traveling with the drum corps. And I just basically just left. I said, okay, I complete change of life. On a whim. I said, I can't do this anymore on a whim. I said, they wanted me to go on the road for 3 months. I'll live on a fucking charter bus for 3 months. Yes. I said, yes, I can't, because I can't stay where I'm at. And I had a different mindset. I was a different person. I was a different person when I decided to go on the road. And the further away I got from that period of my life, I somewhere along the lines became the villain in my story. I believed the lies that my abusers said about me. You know, a belief system is something that if you get told over and over and over and over again, you start to believe it. That is your belief system. And I know that my therapist and we work on that a lot, of changing my belief system about myself, about how I approach feelings and situations and all of this stuff. And I have to change my belief system, which requires me to tell myself the opposite of what, counteract itself. I realized I was not the villain. What I did is I ended up believing the lies. And then I ended up believing the lies. I rewrote my history. I rewrote my history of me being the villain. That is why I didn't want to look back on that. That is why I didn't want to think about that. That is why I put that stuff behind me and forgot about all of that. Not because I was the villain, because I was the bad guy, because I did such terrible things. Then I am not that person anymore. So I did such terrible things that I am not going, I want to put and leave that part of my life behind me. I rewrote my own history, my own memories. I believed the lies. And I kept writing today. I came to that realization, and that was a nice little page and a half. And I came to another realization. And this one guts me in a good way. I've always been really ashamed of my inner young adult. I've been really ashamed of that part of myself, and I'm like that trauma and that wounded animal, and I've talked about her a lot in this negative light. But then I looked at it. And my inner young adult, that me in that period, in that moment in time, my brain, my default, I realized it wasn't my inner child stopping me from doing terrible things and ending it. It was my inner young adult. It was my fight. I was going to live out of spite because I wasn't going to end it. I wasn't going to leave this mortal coil letting people believe what they believed about me. Come hell or high water, I am going to be a person that there is no way that they can think any bad things about me, whatever the cost. And I'm going to live that way. And I realized what my brain did. My brain built this bunker, this partition in my head, and she took my inner child and she took herself and she said, you're going to be a better person, and we're going to do what we have to do to have a better life. So that part of me got locked away, but before it got locked away, my brain went, we're going to rewrite this story so that she never turns back, so that she doesn't hurt like this ever again. And I realized my young adult was not the villain in my story. And I had lived for decades thinking that she was. Thinking that she was the bad guy, that part of my life that I was so awful. But what she did is...
Don't forget to take out your trash cans.
Don't forget to take the trash. She saved me. And she wasn't the villain. She was my hero. She was brave. She said, this is not how we're going to live anymore. This is not how our story ends. She said, this is not how our story ends, lying in the freaking bathroom of an apartment. This is not how it ends. And she said, I'm going to do what I have to do so that we have a better life. And she did. And I didn't think about it. I didn't feel it. I didn't process it. And she used shame as a motivator to not look back. I rewrote my story in my head so that I was so ashamed that I just didn't process it. So I didn't have to go back and think about it. And I spent so many years being so angry and ashamed. And now that I'm doing this work and I open the door and I'm really taking a look back on that part of my life, she was my hero. She did the hard thing. She did the hard thing. She got up off the floor and she said, this is not how it ends. And she was brave. And I did. I moved on. I met C. Roogs not long, like 4 months after that. I became this different person. I became this different person. But I didn't become a different person. I just became the person that I thought I should be, because there was a part of me, there really was a part of me that thought that this is how I should be. It was a driving motivator, and I was like, why do, and Searugs and I, that's where a lot of our contention came in our relationship, was because I was feeling like I should be this perfect wife, this perfect mother, this perfect daughter, this perfect person. I had to be better. I had to be perfect. I had to be smiley and happy and flawless. And now I know why. My inner young adult was not malicious. She isn't even angry. She's just wants to be heard. She's kind. She was so kind that she let everyone use her. She was so loving. She was so desperate to be loved that she let people hurt her. And still forgive them. I am the main character. We're all our own main characters. I just, and and coming to that realization today, I realized that's why it's so important when somebody says something like we talked about yesterday, when somebody frames something that I've done or that I've said that isn't what actually was done or said, why it really, I go into damage control. I go into this literally this triggered, chaotic, panicked state. I realized where that wound was and what that wound was. I really today I just was like, I'm just so done. The dark seems way too dark, and my soul is tired. And I'm doing all this heavy lifting and this heavy work, and I'm doing this work, and I'm doing the work, and it's like Don Dara said, we just got to hold on, and we just got to stay in the goddamn boat. But sometimes I just feel like the boat is going to capsize. But I just got to hold on. I'm suffering. I'm not crazy. I'm processing. I'm working. I'm feeling. I'm not crazy. And I wasn't the villain. I wasn't. And do you know how fucking, to come to that realization, to have a belief about yourself, a belief, like a hardcore, like ingrained, like up until about 5 hours ago, I would have sworn on God and Satan themselves. I would have sworn that I was horrible. I was horrid. I had done so many terrible things. I was an awful individual. I am the villain in so many people's stories, and that was my motivator for getting better. That was why I became a different person when I met Chris. That's why I was the villain. And not just a villain. I was a super villain. I believed that. For years. And then I really, really listened. I listened to myself, and I realized that I wasn't the villain. That I was just believing the lies. And all I wanted was to live, and just to live in the truth. So I found it really interesting that Don Dara brought that up, because I told him I wasn't going to talk about that. I wasn't going to talk about it with on stream. I was going to do it on my show. And here I am. I have always been this person. I've always been very kind, boisterous, and brave. I've always been brave. Even at my darkest, I was brave. And when you come to that realization about yourself, when you come to the realization that you are not the villain in your story, you sort of question what the future looks like. Because, well, you're questioning everything about yourself. It feels really good. It hurts still. It hurts. I'm not even gonna lie. It is this whole journey, like this whole journey, the past fucking shit. 8 months. It's past 8 months. It's been it's been hard. And I haven't done it right all the time. And that's okay. But I'm here. And I've done hard things. And I will continue to do hard things. So that is my revelation today. I just wanted somebody to believe me. I just want I don't know if you guys ever feel like this, like in your traumas, and I don't know what like your history and your trauma history and all this stuff. And I know talking with Pep, I know that talking with Pep that he has had like very similar instances, but it's I just wanted people to believe me. And then you fall into that trap of, and that's like in my, like, you fall into that trap. Well, if they're not going to believe me, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. What does it fucking matter whether I'm honest or not? And then you get to that point to where you are being dishonest, not because you are like over stupid shit, because you would rather tell the lie than try to face the turmoil. And it becomes this whole weird vicious cycle about truth and lying and trauma. Truth, lies, and trauma. I got really good at hiding the pain, which is a lie in itself. You learn to smile through the pain. You learn to lie to yourself. Gaslighting. Self-gaslighting is a bitch. We talked about it when we were talking about the white knighting, the whole white knight thing. You know? If we were doing it right. We tell ourselves, I literally convinced myself, I believed these egregious lies about myself that carried over. We are our worst enemies. We talk about other people lying to us. We talk about the pain and yes, when other people lie to us and are dishonest. And let me tell you this, and this is something that I absolutely agree with, is that omission of the truth is not the truth. Omission of the truth, when asked a direct question, omission of the truth, or omission of the truth when you know that other person deserves to be told the truth, is not kind. It is not it is just, because then that person, because I hate that, I fucking hate that. I'm like, because I make decisions about myself, and I make choices, and I make things based on the information that I'm given. And if I am not given all the information, how can I make the right choice for myself? I only can make the choices. Maybe I would have made the same choice, but if you omit some information that I sort of need to know, I am just as guilty of doing that too. Trust me, I am. I'm not sitting here. That is actually, I'm terrible. Just won't. As long as they don't ask, don't tell, don't tell on yourself, that whole thing. That's not honest either. That's just a game of hide and seek. But we are our own worst enemies when it comes to gaslighting ourselves and lying to ourselves. I was so traumatized. I was so mentally, emotionally traumatized that my brain literally went, no. We're gonna just lean into the lie. Because if we lean into the lie, then you run from that. You don't sit in the pain that you're feeling. What you do is if I lean into the victim, if I lean into the villain arc that I was doing all these bad things, then I am gonna sit here and try to escape that and do everything I can to change that. My brain went, nah. We're rewriting this fucking story. Our brains are they are really interesting electric meatloafs. I found it interesting that Don Darrow was like, you are going to, you are this. hero, a superhero, and I was like, I found it just interesting that for so long I believed I was the villain in this story. I was the reformed villain. That is literally how I framed myself in my head. I was the reformed villain. I had this traumatizing, damaging childhood. I had a villain period where I was manipulative and hoary, and I was just a terrible human being. And then I decided I made a last second decision to do something different and change my life. And then from that point on, I decided I was going to be a better person, and so I was going to make choices for that. And so it was my redemption era. This was my redemption era. But the reality is that I had nothing that I needed to be redeemed from. I didn't need to be redeemed. There was no need for the redemption era. There was no need for redemption. I had nothing. I mean, was I perfect? No. Did I do some like really shitty things? Yes, I was 20. I didn't know any better. We all done shitty things. Like that's just making mistakes and making poor choices, because sometimes in your late teens, early 20s, you make poor life choices because you are exploring that life. I didn't need a redemption arc. I feel like if we are talking about characters in a story and we're talking about all these things, I feel like I am in that part where, the main character opens up a file on a computer and they like start reading all of this information that they didn't know before, and they start putting together the pieces that there are parts of their life that wasn't what they thought it was, that everything was different. Maybe their parents were like covert spies or something, and everything about that period in their life, then all of a sudden they're like everything's like completely different. And that's how I feel right now. And I'm sitting here going, okay. Well, I always said I wanted this channel to be about vulnerability, and I don't think I could get any more vulnerable. I can't even talk. I don't think I can get any more vulnerable than crying on stream. That's fine. I mean, that's cool. That's why vulnerability was really difficult for me. That's why when I am vulnerable with somebody, it is a big deal for me. Because in that period of my life, anytime I was vulnerable, it was absolutely used to obliterate me. So when I extend my vulnerability to somebody, it is not because I am just like throwing that shit around like candy. It's not it. If I am vulnerable with you, you better fucking believe that I think that you deserve it. Because that means I trust you. And I remember that too. I remember that part of my life. That's something that is coming back to me. I used to be so trusting. I was trusting to a fault. I was gullible. Like I literally was the gullible person. Like I fell for, hey, why is gullible written on the ceiling 3 times in a row? Like, yeah, I was that trusting. And now I'm just like, I am so cynical. I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I don't trust them. my brain instantly goes to they're lying to me and they're doing XYZ to hurt me and this is what they're doing and I'm just going to accept and I am just waiting for them to hurt me, even though they tell me they tell me everything's fine. They tell me they're not doing XYZ. They're not doing that. But I know that they're doing that because I'm connecting all of these dots and I know that they are lying to me. And I just have to accept that they're lying to me and they're being dishonest with me. I used to fall for it. Why is gullible written on the ceiling? I used to be that person. And now I'm not that person. Now, like, I'm trying to get in touch with that part of myself again. I'm trying to learn how to trust again. I'm trying to open myself up and slowly build that trust up in myself again. But I literally instantaneously don't believe when somebody tells me. I ask them a question, they give me an answer, and I automatically think that they're lying to me. And I've already created the story in my head of why they're lying to me and what they are really doing. No, it's not healthy. No, it's not. And actually, it's gotten better ever since I have worked on that. And I actually don't do that anymore. I go, when I acknowledge that feeling of distrust, and then I go, no, that is my trauma. And I'm going to believe them. I'm going to believe I'm choosing to trust them. And that's hard. I wish I could have been more chatty. It's okay. I enjoy your sarcasm. Most of my friends, almost everybody in my life, me included, is sarcastic to a fault. We are a very sarcastic bunch. And I kind of like it. And by kind, I mean a lot. I like sarcasm. I think sarcasm and wit it's fun. It's not serious. You have to be intelligent to be sarcastic. But there are times for it. Yeah, dear. I mean, you know what, Paragon? I appreciate your being respectful. And that means a lot to me. It really, really does. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Thank you. I'm still a little sore. I'm still a little emotionally and mentally tender after today. And I don't know where this journey is going to take me. And I don't know where more of diving into my young adult and the shadow work and embracing my shadows and embracing that part of myself. I don't know where it's going to take me. And I'm pretty sure I got more storms up ahead. It's hurricane season, folks. Hang on and enjoy the ride. Let's strap in and learn how to do your sailor's knots. If you aren't into Shibari, then you should be now because you're going to have to strap yourself in. Hurricanes or Sharknadoes. You know what? Either one. Nah, just hurricanes. I feel better. It's almost like all of a sudden I'm seeing myself differently. And it's weird. I'm so used to hating myself and being ashamed of myself. And judging myself. It's not the case. Rug sees up the camera with power. But I really want to, I appreciate all of you that have been here on this journey and have joined me with this journey. And I honestly, I appreciate so much you, all of you, helping to provide that safe space for myself and for others. Because all of you in my community, all of you that watch me on a regular basis, all of you that show up for me and show up on a regular basis, and you provide that reassurance, that safety, that safe space for myself, and you do it for the other people in the chat and in the community. And y'all are amazing. And I appreciate all of you so much. And I can do hard things. I can be brave. Because I'm just in the middle of all of this. And just like my inner young adult told me, this is not how my story ends. My story is going to end somewhere amazing. And come hell or high water, and every storm that I have to weather, and every hard thing that I have got to go through and process, every feeling, every emotion, every person that comes into my life and treats me like shit, and I've got to set that boundary. And I'm not crazy. I'm not the villain. I never was. I didn't need to be redeemed. I don't have to save myself. I don't have to pay penance, because there's nothing to pay penance for. I'm worth knowing. I'm worth the fight. And if I'm the only one that is fighting for me, then I'm the only one fighting for me. And I'm going to win. There is one thing I do want to share with you. Okay, so before I go, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this group or this singer called Citizen Soldier. He actually happens to be a therapist who writes about mental health, and I fucking love him. And the irony of today is I was getting ready and putting on my makeup, and I found on his new album there's a song called My Own Miracle. And if you ever want to know, like, just pretty much summed up in a song, basically where I was at, and sort of where I am at, where I was at, like that hit me today. I heard that song and went, holy fuck, I'm literally about to talk about all of this. I'm literally about to talk about this very subject. So, I mean, it's you know, I'd encourage you to go listen to some of his music. They are awesome. He is a therapist, and I like the fact that he addresses some issues, but it's called My Own Miracle, and I would be amiss if I didn't share, because I'm a music person. I'm a musician. I really do express myself through music, through creative outlets. I'm an artist. I'm an artist both musically and visually, and so that one, if you want to have something that sums up this entire week of how my week has been, go listen to that song. Yes, yeah, song's amazing. So I hope you guys have, it's Citizen Soldier, and it's My Own Miracle. It's off his new album. I usually don't promote crap like that. Like, I usually don't, like, I don't do that, but I really, that song today is like, I want to share that. I want to share that with you because that really, it spoke to me in the way of that. It pretty much sums up everything that I have been processing. And I was like, I want to share that with you. I want to share that part of myself with you. Because I really am that person. I give to strangers. I give to people I've never met. I do kind things. I do silly things for no reason. Because I like them. Because it's not my trauma. That's really who I am. I have a big heart. And it's been battered and it's been bruised and it's been cut into a million pieces and it's been used and spit on and it's been frozen. But it's still beating. So it's gotta count for something, right? So we're gonna do hard things. We're gonna do hard things this week. And we're gonna weather the storm. And we're going to learn to love our dandelions. We'll see. We'll see where the story goes. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in the middle. And I am gonna go. You're like sort of. Yeah, I'd like to stay on this plane of existence just for a little while longer. I fought a little too hard to be here. I feel like I need to at least get to a point where I can enjoy it for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? You know what I mean? Like, I got to working a little too hard. I would like. You guys have a great night, and I will see you guys later, okay? Bye.